Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you are in the world. Hello! I am back, and we're going to continue our playthrough of Tell Me Why. Well, I guess let's jump to it. In case you're wondering, I am wearing a different shirt. It just so happens to be gray as well.
Wow. Look how small these beds are.
We were so little.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're going to continue with reading those stories because, let's face it, I was really enjoying those stories until I realized how sore my throat was starting to get, and that's when I had to call it a night. That was the only reason. Otherwise, I would have kept going. I know that I didn't have to read those stories, but I was enjoying them so much that I was like, yeah, I want to read these stories. Okay, this is where we left off. So this one we have not read yet. The goblins meet the ice troll. Once upon a time, in an ancient and deep forest, the crafty goblins were awake long after they should have been asleep. One goblin said to the other, "Let's go explore the forest." Now, the goblins were not in the habit of exploring the forest late at night, and they did not know what they would find, but this did not scare them off. They crept out of their beds, bundled up, and went exploring. It was dark, the light of the moon was just enough to keep them from walking into trees, but they could not see more than 15 feet in front of them. Every time a twig snapped or branches rattled, they considered turning back, but they didn't. And so they had ventured far beyond the house into a part of the forest they were not familiar with. When they realized the snapping of twigs and the rattling of branches had become steady, something was following them. They turned to run, but a hulking figure emerged from the darkness, sweeping them up with a giant hand and stuffing them into a burlap sack. The goblins wiggled and cried out, but the sack remained shut, as their captor stomped through the forest, singing, "Whittle diddle dum, whittle diddle dee, in this bag's a meal for me." After a lot of thumping and thudding, the bag opened, and the goblins were dumped into a giant iron pot full of warming water. A huge troll stood overhead, grinning down at them through long, bushy white eyebrows. "I am the ice troll, and you are my dinner." He readied to cook the goblins, singing, "Whittle diddle dum, dum dee dee. There's soon to be a soup for me." Finishing his ditty, he bent over to stoke the fire beneath the pot and let out a loud noise of pain. Rubbing a spot on his back that always ached, the troll stood painfully and walked over to the stone shelf, where he began to chop potatoes. One of the goblins had an idea. She whispered to her brother, "Follow my lead." The goblins stretched out in the water, floating and letting out sighs of contentment. "Ah," said one of the goblins, "this is the most relaxed I've ever been. My body feels so good I think I could run 100 miles without stopping," said the second. The troll peered at them. They weren't supposed to be happy about being in the cook pot, but they certainly looked like they were. "Troll," said the goblins, "if your back is hurting, you should try sitting in the water, just for a little bit, before it gets too hot." The troll stomped over. "But if I take you out, then you will escape, and there would be no soup for me." "Put us back in the sack," suggested the goblins, "then we can't run away." This made sense to the troll. The spot on his back that always ached was still bothering him, and the goblins couldn't go anywhere if they were trapped. So he stuck the goblins back in the sack and climbed into the soup pot. He stretched out and let out a sigh of contentment. Meanwhile, the goblins threw themselves around in the sack until it began to swing. The troll was so relaxed he didn't even notice. The bag dropped onto the shelf where the troll had been chopping potatoes, and the goblins pushed it up against the edge of the troll's knife. Sawing a hole, then they made a break for it. The troll finally noticed what they were doing and roared out in anger, but he was so relaxed that when he tried to chase them, He tumbled out of the cookpot and into the flames, catching his bushy eyebrows on fire. The goblins ran and ran and ran as fast as they could through the ancient and deep forest, until they were back in their cave and safe in their beds. They vowed never to venture out in the ancient and deep forest late at night again, for they did not think they'd get so lucky as to trick the ice troll twice. And that is the story of how the crafty goblins met the ice troll and why they never did again. You know, I kind of like that. I did like the story. It was a nice one too. The goblins tricked the muskrat. Once upon a time, in a deep and ancient wood, there lived a muskrat. The muskrat was a lazy, cowardly creature who did little but lay around in the sun, cleaning his beautiful coat until it shone. One day, the muskrat found the crafty goblins playing king of the mountain on his favorite rock. He was too cowardly to confront them directly, and so he retreated to a safe distance and then pitched a stone right at a hornet's nest hanging overhead. One of the goblins saw him do it, but before she could say anything, the hornets emerged, furious, and chased the goblins away, stinging them. With the rock empty, the muskrat claimed his spot. When the goblins returned, they asked the muskrat, "Why did you do that?" "I don't know what you're talking about," he said, turning away to ignore them. The goblins knew that the muskrat cared for nothing but his coat, so they devised to steal it in order to teach him a lesson. As the muskrat lay in the sun, he spied the goblins strutting by. Their skin was covered in flecks of gold. "Goblins," cried the muskrat, "what happened to make your skin shine that way?" "When we were attacked by the hornets, we ran and ran until we found a pool by the glacier. We dove in and then came out this way." "Would you show me this pool?" asked the muskrat. The crafty goblins led the muskrat to a pool. The muskrat looked at the pool skeptically. "It looks like a pool," he said. The goblins chuckled and shrugged. You don't have to jump in if you don't want to. But what do you lose if you try? And if it works, why, you will be the most beautiful creature in the whole of the forest." With visions of his splendid coat in mind, the muskrat jumped in. When he emerged, he was disappointed to find that nothing had changed. Said one goblin. "Maybe you have to be stung by the hornets first, just like us." The muskrat hesitated, because getting stung would be painful. Seeing his hesitation, the goblin added, "If it works, you'll be the most beautiful creature in the whole of the forest." The muskrat decided it was worth it, so he returned to the hornet's nest and pitched a stone right at it. The hornets emerged, even more furious this time. They chased the muskrat, stinging him repeatedly until he jumped into the magic pool. The muskrat was disappointed to find that once again nothing had changed. "I wonder if the magic only works for us," said one of the goblins. "Would you like me to jump in with your coat?" The muskrat hesitated. "If it works, you'll be the most beautiful creature in the whole of the forest." With the visions of his splendid coat in mind, the muskrat agreed. He slipped it off and handed it to the goblins. Without his coat, the muskrat was pale and covered in scabby welts. Instead of jumping in the pool, one of the goblins ran away with the coat, laughing. The other pushed Muskrat into the frigid pool, and as water splashed the goblin, the gold flecks ran, revealing that they had only ever been painted on. The muskrat cried so pitifully and made such a clamor that he awoke the Ice King, who came down to the forest to see what had happened. When the Ice King saw the muskrat, he laughed, only further infuriating the creature. "Tell me what happened," said the Ice King. Both the muskrat and the goblins told their sides of the story, and the Ice King considered the case before him. "Is it true that the muskrat is vain, and he thinks of nothing but himself?" concluded the Ice King. Oh, sorry, it is true. Okay. But he needs something to keep him warm in the water and the snow. So the Ice King was decided. The muskrat would get his coat back, but it would be patchy and unkept. After that day, he became known as Mangy Muskrat. And that is how the goblins tricked the muskrat into giving up his coat and how he got his name. The Moose Teaches the Goblins. Once upon a time, in a deep and ancient forest, the crafty goblins were hungry. This wasn't unusual, the goblins were always hungry, but today they were particularly hungry. They opened the wise princess's cupboards to look for a snack, but all she had was a small pile of nuts and berries and just one strip of dried fish. The goblins grabbed it all and gobbled it up, but they were still hungry. They went out into the woods to look for more to eat. First they dropped by the small pond. The big frog was asleep, and beside the pond was a pile of insects she had caught for eating after she woke up. The goblins crept up to the pile, careful not to wake the big frog. As they got close, she ribbited loudly and they froze. But the big frog kept sleeping, so they grabbed up the pile of insects and gobbled it up, but they were still hungry. As they crept back into the woods, they found the stalwart moose watching them. "Did you just steal the big frog's food?" The goblins tried not to look guilty but failed. "She said we could have them," they cried. "Oh, really?" asked the moose. "Let's ask her." So the moose woke up Big Frog and asked, "Did you say the goblins could have your food?" The big frog looked at the goblins, who she knew were always hungry, and nodded. "Yes, I did." "Really?" asked the moose. Surprised Frog nodded, and the moose sighed. "All right then," he said, and he had to let the goblins go. Their next stop was the river. They watched as Old Bear swiped at a leaping salmon, catching it deftly in his large paws. He lay it out upon a rock and left it to dry, lumbering into the woods to seek out some berries. The crafty goblins crept up the rock, carefully in case Old Bear returned. They reached the rocks, grabbed the salmon, and gobbled it all up, but they were still hungry. As they crept back into the woods, the stalwart moose was once again waiting for them. "Are you going to tell me Old Bear said you could have that?" "Yes," replied the goblins. Old Bear ambled up at that moment, and Moose asked him, "Did you leave that fish for the goblins?" Old Bear looked at the goblins, who he knew were always hungry, and nodded. "I did," he said. "Really?" asked the moose. "Really," said the Old Bear. After Moose left, Old Bear said to the goblins, "Be sure to tell the princess I was kind to you, and don't steal my fish again." The goblins, still hungry, went out looking for one more meal. They crept up to the mangy muskrat's lodge and began to climb inside when they were dragged right back out. The stalwart moose dangled them by the seats of their pants and said, "Now, I know Mangy Muskrat didn't tell you that you could eat his food, because he blames you for his coat being ruined. Besides, he barely has enough for himself and doesn't share with anyone." The goblins began to protest, but he shook his head. He set the goblins down and said, "Come with me." The goblins followed the stalwart moose to a part of the river where it ran slow enough for them to walk into it safely. He gave them each a fishing line. "I'm going to teach you to fish, so that when you're hungry, you do not need to steal from the animals of the forest. It will be hard work, but it will be honest." The crafty goblins were not against working hard. They were just hungry, and so they listened to the moose, and soon pulled wiggling fish out of the river. They ate them up, and finally they were no longer hungry. And that is how the moose came to teach the crafty goblins to fish. Excuse me. Oh, we're at the last story. Okay. The Mad Hunter Gets His Hand Back. Once upon a time, in a deep and cold lake near the ancient forest, there lived an old seal who was a powerful witch. After angering the Ice King, she had been bound to the lake, allowed only to venture out when the moon was full, and only looking like the hag she truly was. For years, she dreamed of vengeance, all alone within the deep lake among the corpses of her many previous victims. One night, she awoke to see a black and hooded silhouette clawing to reach a beautiful gown full of stone. The human had delved far deeper into the lake than any land dweller should have been able to go. His tenacity and ferociousness impressed the moon hag, and she decided he would be wasted in her statuary of corpses. She used her magic to expel him, allowing him to breathe underwater, but also binding him to her service. You, she said, will be the instrument of my release and my revenge, for you and I together will kill the Ice King. The moon hag had never heard of the Mad Hunter, and she did not know the power he wielded. She could only tell he was a hunter, and her lust for revenge blinded her to the threat he posed. She gifted him a hand of ice, which was not as nimble as a hand of flesh, but allowed him to serve her better than no hand at all. The moon hag spent years devising the perfect plan to kill the Ice King, and years more moving all the pieces into place to execute it. In the meantime, the Mad Hunter served her, guarding her chest of treasures and plotting his own plots. Finally, everything was prepared. The full moon rose, and the moon hag stepped on land, giddy at the thought she would never have to leave again if it did not please her. She brought the Mad Hunter to his post, a jagged peak of ice and stone, from which he would loose the arrow that would slay the Ice King. Before she could go, he put forward a proposal. Moon hag, said the Mad Hunter, if you grow back my missing hand, I would be certain to hit the Ice King with my arrow. We will have only one shot, and I would hate to miss. You're a powerful witch, so you'll be able to craft ties to bind me to this place that I cannot break. The moon hag considered it. All right, I will grow back your hand, and then bind you here with ties that will not break. She cast a spell, and the Mad Hunter's hand of ice was replaced with a hand of flesh. As the witch left to complete the next part of her plan, the Mad Hunter grinned wickedly in the moonlight. After a short time, the moon hag returned, luring the Ice King into the Mad Hunter's line of sight. What is this about, moon hag? Asked the Ice King. Many a long year have you bound me to the lake, said the moon hag. Many a long year have I been alone in the dark. That ends tonight. She cast a powerful spell that made the Ice King slow to react, and then gave the signal. Mad Hunter, she cried, let your arrow fly. Nothing happened. She twitched nervously. Mad Hunter, she growled, let your arrow fly. Still, nothing happened. The Ice King, meanwhile, was striding toward her, slow but furious. The moon hag fled, running first to the jagged peak of ice and stone where her servant should have waited. But the peak was empty. The ties had been broken, and the Mad Hunter was gone. For in the end, he was the more powerful of the two, especially once he had two hands. When the Ice King finally caught the hag, his furious voice could be heard throughout the forest. For your wickedness, you will be eternally bound to the lake. You will no longer be allowed to leave, not even under a full moon. The moon hag was imprisoned in the lake, and she never again tried to escape. And this is how the Mad Hunter escaped the moon hag, and how he got his left hand back. Oh, interesting. Which means the Mad Hunter is on the loose again. All right. Let's continue on out here. Did I see this before?
So much for my dream of being a hockey star.
Marianne thought sports were too aggressive, too competitive, and too group-thinky.
Group thinking. I don't remember looking at some of these.
You know, if there's one thing you gotta give Marianne, it's that she let us explore our artistic side.
You should have seen Eddie's face when I tried to repaint his car.
Yeah, I bet Uncle Eddie didn't appreciate your artistic touch.
I'd rather you called him Chief Brown if you're gonna be an ass about it.
Our space Caltac. I'm not sure. Contact? Contract? Not sure. Okay, so we already saw all this other stuff. Oh, another bond. Hey. Excuse me, Allison.
The Ice King finally caught the hag. His furious voice could be heard throughout the forest. For your wickedness, you will be eternally bound to the lake. What? No way. Quiet, let me finish. You will no longer be allowed to leave. Not even under a full moon. The moon hag was imprisoned in the lake, and she never again tried to escape. And then the title. What do you think? Not bad, right?
I guess that's okay, but I would have changed the end.
What? No way!
The Ice King. I totally forgot about him.
That's because it was dangerous to mention his name. He was too powerful.
I thought the Ice King was like kind of like a good guy. So we came up here, went to the bedroom. I don't see anything we can really interact with. Excuse me, Allison. Allison. Move, girl. Come on. Thank you. I'm surprised we can't just squeeze past her.
Where'd you come from?
A Tale of Two Swords. Interesting. Are those yarn balls? Where are those? Oh, they are yarn balls. Okay, so I'm not sure what we're supposed to do now because this is all of the upstairs, which is not much. Like, I guess we can just go back down here. Is Allison going to show us what we can do?
After all this time,
Ah, yes, we still have to open the mother's
Diary's
bedroom.
probably in Marianne's room. I should go check.
Hold up.
What?
Remember this?
Unfortunately.
You must solve my riddle to earn the right to enter the princess's sanctum.
Nothing a good hard shove won't take care of.
I mean, yes, we could brute force it, but it might be kind of fun to finally solve it, right?
We have different definitions of the word fun.
Okay, well, if we break it, we're just gonna have to fix it for the sale. So let's at least try not to. You have the Book of Goblins?
Yep.
Hand it over.
What are you looking for?
The image on the door. It's making me think of a story from the book. One that Marianne wrote.
You have a way better memory than me.
Well, the Book of Goblins was my creation.
And you'll never let anyone forget it.
Here it is. The one about the princess's party. Give it a read. I think the symbols may represent something in the story.
But we already read that story.
First ghost memories, now storybook puzzles. What a weird day.
We already
What a
read the
weird
story.
childhood.
Touché.
Alright, let me see here. I want a closer look at this puzzle. Okay. But, I already know the story. Okay. The princess's party. No, it must have been up here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Pretty sure the first one was the bear. No, sorry, the first one was the frog. If we go from left to right, first one was the frog. Second was the bear. Third one No, 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 not... Oh my gosh. No, that's the bear. Come on. Now. Pelican.
I think I'm just gonna force this open.
You sure? We're not
No.
in a rush, and we'll have to fix it.
Solve the puzzle.
Alright, one more try.
Princess opened the first box. Inside was the torch. I'm pretty sure that was the frog. Open the second box. Magic sword, which is the bear's. Protection. Bag full of coins that was always provided money for someone. Pretty sure that's the pelican. And she gave her answers. So, how do I know which... Oh, wait a second. Maybe the upper symbols? First one was a torch, next one was a sword. No, I'm pretty sure I got it right because the frog found her when she was lost, or helped her find her way when she was lost. The bear protected her from the wolf. The pelican is able to provide almost anything that is needed, which would be represented by the bag of coins. I am pretty sure I had solved it. What am I missing? Is it from right to left, or do the fairies, or the fairies any indicator here? Because I don't see which one represents the sword. Sorry, which one's the torch, which one's the sword, and which one's the bag of coins. Okay. I'm pretty sure I got it because if the first one is the first gift, which was the torch, then that's from the frog.
You sure you're done? Maybe if we put our heads together.
Yeah, I can try again.
Maybe it's reverse. And then...
You sure you're done? Maybe if we put our heads together.
Yeah, I can try again.
I don't get it. Is that little arrow at the top of the circle not the indicator to say that's what I'm selecting it for? I'm so confused. I'm certain that the answer was right when the left one was the frog, the center one's the bear, the right one is the pelican. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. See, I think this is the right answer, but it's saying no.
You sure you're done? Maybe if we put our heads together.
Yeah, I can try again.
I don't get it. Okay, the princess opened the first box. Inside there was a torch, which when lit revealed the truth. Said the princess. Someone wants to make sure I don't get lost in the woods when it's dark, and that I always see right from wrong. Okay, the second part of that where it reveals the truth, that's making me think of the moose. But the torch part of not getting lost makes me think of the frog. So I'm a bit confused there. Okay, inside the second box was a magic sword that leapt out of the bear's hand to defend them. Someone wants to make sure I am protected if I'm ever under threat. And that's definitely the bear. Okay. She opened the third box. Inside there was a bag of coins that always provided money if it was something the bear truly needed. Said the princess. Someone wants to make sure I have money to buy food when I am hungry and clothes when I'm cold. Which of my friends would give me a gift like that? Okay, thinking of the second detail of the first gift, it makes me think of the moose. But the torch part where finding your way does not make sense for the moose. The coin one I still think is the pelican. There we go. The first one was the moose. Just because of the second detail. Oh my goodness. Oh.
And boom, we're in.
After so many years, I expected this to feel more, you know, like a win.
Speak for yourself. I'm the one who solved the riddle.
Why do I feel like you're not gonna let me forget that? Where do you think we should start looking?
I don't know. Where in this mess would she stash someone else's personal thoughts?
Okay. I'm going to go back to the door. Oh. Oh, there's another memory somewhere.
So she was standing here, spying through the window, drawing us while we played.
She always had her eye on us.
My entire body
It won't
just
let me.
shivered.
It won't let me use the bond. Oh, there it is.
I just can't get through. Whatever's going on, they won't let me in. They used to tell me everything, but they shut me out, Tessa. They've shut me out. I've had so much on my plate lately, and they're convinced I'm the enemy, and I don't know why. I need them. I need my goblins.
I remember now. We heard her crying. We listened through the door.
Seeing her like this, as if she's still here,
It really sucks.
she was really coming apart those last few months, wasn't she?
And I'm not sure what's going on there. Now I just have even more questions than before. Okay. Is that a doll? Oh, is that the princess? Ah, new collectible. We got the wise princess.
So she was standing here, spying through the window, drawing us while we played.
She always had her eye on us.
My entire body just shivered.
What's this?
She always had to have a picture of us close by.
Why this picture, though? I mean, do you see the expression on our faces?
Oh, this explains a lot.
They're mostly full. She was too stubborn to take medication.
So she was taking medication for something. What was that something? Was it like schizophrenia? Or something? What?
It's
Once
here.
again, more questions. More questions. Oh,
I
diary.
knew it. I fucking knew it.
Do you think she read it?
Of course. She was nosy as hell.
Aw. Raising your transgender child. Virtue Seekers Youth Camp? I didn't read the pamphlet, like, more of it. I was like, what else was on that?
Tyler. Tyler,
What?
look.
Something traditional families.
What? Where did you find that?
It was on her desk with her papers.
Seriously? Are you fucking kidding me?
Look, we gotta be really careful not to overthink this.
But it doesn't make any sense. She was mad, right? She was mad I cut my hair. She attacked me because I cut my hair.
She was mad and she attacked you. We both saw it.
Then what is this shit?
I don't know. I don't know. Tyler, come here.
I'm confused.
She can't do this to me. Not now. When I've finally made sense of a few things.
Well, that was your first mistake. Thinking the world made any kind of sense.
She does have a point.
10 years in the grave, and she's still finding new ways to piss us off.
Yeah. I think I need some air.
I think I need some air too. Huh. See, this is what I was saying earlier, when I was saying it didn't quite make sense. Like I mentioned this earlier in today's stream, I don't think I mentioned it while I was recording, but I was saying how it was odd.
Are you really, really sure? I am. Do it.
Oh no.
Okay. Here we go.
I mean, just the general idea of cutting your own hair or having someone who's not really trained to cut your hair. Not really the best thing.
Is it all gone? Yeah. It looks amazing. Really? Yeah. I can't wait to show Mom. She's been so sad lately. More than sad. She's been scary. Yeah, but not tonight, though. It was almost like a party. Thank you, Allison. You don't have to thank me. You're my sister. I feel more like your brother. Brother, sister, we look out for each other. But I'm pretty sure I just gave you a really bad haircut. Mom? Mom?
Oh, maybe she mistook. She mistook the child for someone else? Maybe she didn't recognize the child in the dark? What is that? Oh, there's a light. That's the shed. What are they doing in the... What's the child doing in the rain at night?
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just trying. Okay.
Oh no.
Mom?
Oh no. No, 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 no. This is wrong. This is all wrong. Wait! Stop!
Put down the gun. No, put down the gun. Oh no. Was it like a huge misunderstanding? Oh man.
Glad we found your diary.
Me too.
I guess she was trying to figure out where you were at.
Yeah, well, she should have asked. I wasn't some goddamn research project. I was her child.
Maybe she didn't know how to ask.
About the book.
Raising your transgender child? Do you even know how rare these books were in 2005?
Precisely. There weren't
Was
very
she
many out.
trying to figure out how to support me?
Maybe.
Which she wasn't trying. She never...
It doesn't make sense. I know. You cutting your hair was what set her off, right?
Allison, she read my diary. She already knew. It wasn't my hair.
Exactly.
And if we were
why?
wrong about that... Fuck.
You think she read it. It's possible she never even opened the diary, and that things are exactly like we always thought they were.
But if she did, and they aren't...
God, Tyler. Sure. I mean, we could have been wrong. But what good does it do to ask the question now?
You mean other than not having to live with the thought that my mom tried to kill me for being me?
Tyler, I know you want there to be something to find. Something that'll make it all make sense. But she was unhinged.
So that's it then. She was crazy. Nothing else to say.
I think we'd be better off if we tried to move on.
Why don't we talk to a few people who knew her? See if that book makes any sense to them.
People don't want to talk about Marianne. They pretend like that night never happened.
I want answers.
What about Tessa? She was Marianne's closest friend. Let's ask her about it.
Sure. But I'll warn you, she's particularly touchy about this subject.
Well, maybe she'll talk to me. I was always her favorite.
Operative word was. But we need to go by the store anyway, to get a few things for the repairs.
Great. 2 seagulls, 1 stale hunk of bread.
I'm not sure I like that analogy.
Listen, I know you don't want to keep talking about this.
But you're obviously not going to be satisfied until we do. So let's talk.
We have a plan. Is something wrong?
You've been on edge all day. Is there something more going on with you?
It's nothing.
Pretty sure it's not nothing.
Pretty sure it's
I'd
not
like us to
nothing.
be on the same page.
I thought we were on the same page. Sell this place as quick as possible and move on.
It's important to me, or that book changed everything. I think that book may have changed everything.
And then we found the book, and things changed. You really don't get that?
It's just with the way you avoided this place for the last 3 years, I thought you wouldn't want to spend any extra time here.
Oh. So that's what this is about.
Maybe a little. Yeah. It's just. You graduated 3 years ago. And this is the first time we've seen each other in person.
It's not that I didn't want to see you. I just wasn't ready to be Tyler in Delos Crossing.
I tried to visit you. I tried
You
to go
did?
to your fireweed graduation. I
Oh.
wanted to bake you a crappy boxed cake and take awkwardly posed photos.
I know.
But you shut me out. All I got was non-responses and half-assed evasions.
Stop making it about you, or I was hiding from everyone? I was hiding from everyone.
Look,
Let's go with that.
I didn't want to see anyone. I just started testosterone. And, oh god, I had the worst acne. My emotions were all over the place, and the smells. Allison, the smells. Men smell bad.
I know. I've dated a few.
Look, I needed some time to figure my shit out before I asked anyone else to try. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
We have a plan, or why rush the house sale?
So, I was thinking. Do we need to be in such a rush to sell this place?
We've been over this, and we both agreed it's time for a clean break.
I know, trust me. I'm not talking about staying for long. Just long enough to get some answers.
And you think this
I want
house has those
answers.
answers?
Maybe not, but it's a place to start.
Well, it would be a shame if there was something to find and we tossed it out. How about we start digging without putting off the sale? And if it seems like we need more time, we'll talk about it then.
Okay.
Why do I... Huh? I can ask it again?
So, I was thinking,
Oh, I can't rush.
do we need to be in such a rush to sell this place?
I
We've
can't
been
skip.
over this, and we both agreed it's time for
I
a
can't
clean
skip.
break.
I know, trust me. I'm not talking about staying for long. Just long enough to get some answers.
And you think this house
I just
has
thought it was
those
odd
answers?
that I
Maybe
was
not,
allowed
but
to
it's a place
ask the
to
same
start.
question again.
Well, it would be a shame if there was something to find and we tossed it out. How about we
I
start
can't skip
digging
the
without
dialogue.
putting off the sale? And if it seems like we need more time, we'll talk about it
Sorry,
then.
everyone.
Okay.
We have a plan?
So, we have a plan?
Yep. We ask around about Marianne, but we also stick to our repair schedule.
If that's really what you need. Alright.
Yeah.
Deal.
Alright.
Bonnie's diary. It's been a long time since I heard that name.
Was I
Alright.
the only one who ever called you that?
Actually, no. I used it at Fireweed for a while, until I settled on Tyler. Most people were pretty chill about the switch. Not everyone, though.
What do you mean?
I had a mentee who refused to call me Tyler. He didn't want my help. He didn't want anyone's help.
I'm sorry. I like the name Tyler, by the way.
Thanks.
It suits him. But anyways, before we open up Tyler's diary, what I was trying to say before was what I mentioned, what I was confused about, and I was saying earlier in the stream, I think before I started recording, was how between the time where their mother found Tyler's diary and when the whole incident happened between Tyler and his mother, it's like there's obviously a gap of time between when the diary was found and when the events actually occurred, which made me question, okay, so if the mother supposedly attacked Tyler when he was little because he was transgender, then why was there such a big gap? And so we found out that I guess she was trying to do her own research with that book that says raising a transgender child. So that kind of answers my question as to why there was a gap of time between the diary and that event. So it's kind of like little details like that where I'm like, you know, why? There's gotta be something more to it. And we're finding out there is more to it. And now I'm thinking that because there's medication on their mother's table that she barely touched, I guess maybe she was experiencing like either really bad insomnia that may have caused her to be sleep deprived. And if you're sleep deprived long enough, you will start to hallucinate and you'll have trouble, you'll get really confused and all that not so fun stuff. Or is it a medication for like schizophrenia or something like that? So that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. That might have been the answer. And I'm thinking with that other cutscene that we just saw where the mother was loading up a shotgun, like, obviously she was planning to do something, but I honestly don't think she was trying to kill Tyler. I think it just ended up being a huge misunderstanding. And yeah. Anyways, let's open the diary. Let's see what's in there. Okay. School planner, don't touch. Alright. Oh gosh. I can't really read some of that. Mom and Allison argued again. At least I'm not the only one Mom is screaming at now. Mom almost seemed jealous we didn't tell her what we were planning to do in the forest. Allie thinks we should tell her about our voice. I think she knows already. Mom seemed really upset when I asked to join the hockey team, like it's wrong for me to play a boys' sport. Wait, was this back in 2005? I'm sure there were girl hockey teams back then. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm going to keep asking. I will try again next week. She said no again, and I'm so mad at her. Why does she always say no? Why doesn't she ever let me do what I want to do? Allison and I started writing a story. Well, Allison did. She didn't like it when I tried to change anything. Why can't one of the goblins be a boy goblin? Well, from what I've heard, hockey is an expensive sport. Maybe she couldn't afford it. I mean, it sounded like that Marianne was a single mother, so yeah. Anyways, saw Star Wars yesterday at Bobby's place. Luke was so great, but Mom found out we watched it and got so mad. She said it gloried war. Zoom, zoom. Saturday, 5th of February 2005. Would Mom be happier if I could do what she wanted me to? When she looks at me, she just doesn't see me. I wish I could show her. I wish I could make her understand. I think she doesn't want to. Allison told me again that it was my fault Mom got angry at us. She is such a suck-up. Mom's barely said anything to us in a few days. Allie said she saw her throwing away pages from the Book of Goblins. Do this, do that. I am sick of her voice. And I am sick of that dumb name too. I'm Ollie, the Goblin. I'm Ollie the Goblin. Okay. That's it?
Not a bad view, right?
I forgot how beautiful it is.
The time we tried to cross, we lived in our own world.
We were in our own world most of the time. The lake wasn't just a lake. It was Moonhag's lair, and the mountain was an ice troll.
True. Plus, you get used to anything if you see it every day.
Not always.
got
Nice
a
ring. Gift from your boyfriend?
Come on. I told you I'm not with anyone right now. Don't rub it in.
Why does it look familiar?
It was a gift from Eddie. He had them both made at the same time.
Both? Oh, wait.
Yeah. This ring is supposed to be linked to the one he gave you, in a spiritual way.
Do you believe in all that?
You mean,
Aw.
do I believe we could be linked in some other metaphysical way? You know, other than the one that already lets us share thoughts and memories.
Fair enough.
All right. I think that's enough time enjoying the view.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but
Yeah, I know. I was the one all eager to go, and then I started waxing poetic about the landscape.
go ahead. I'll catch up. Need to respond to a message.
Ah, my sister, the social butterfly.
Seems we got a trespasser.
What the fuck?
You got 5 seconds to talk me into defending my property.
Your property?
5, 4,
I'm Tyler.
don't know any Tylers. 3,
Say your last name.
2,